Hey guys, Jason Jablecki here to talk with you about essentialism in my life and a couple of the tools and techniques that I've implemented here in the last year in order to make my life a bit more essential. You may recall from the playbook of the SMO Summits that I set a personal goal this year for me to attain my private pilot's license. It's something I've always wanted to do. I've thought and talked about for years. My father and grandfather are pilots. I've flown a great deal, but I had never gone through all of the work and effort in order to actually become a licensed pilot myself. So I started out this year doing that. Certainly had some stops and starts, and I'm not completely done. Getting my wisdom teeth taken out in January at 41 years old, 3 SAP Ariba lives on multiple continents, and a couple of SMO summits with one here to go. Certainly have slowed things down, but I've fought through the desire to fill my life with other interests of the moment, and every time I have time and opportunity and I'm ready for it, then I go back to achieving this goal. And I'm pretty confident I'm going to do it by the end of the year. And I can't say that I consciously run the essentialism decision tree on everything I do, but I can say that after having introduced in my life early this year, it's absolutely had an impact on the way that I live and the way that I work. One of the biggest changes for me has been that I'm simply more conscious about the decisions that I make and how every single one of those decisions comes with a trade-off. That's helped me feel more balanced in my work. It's helped me feel more balanced at home. And I think most importantly, it's helped a lot with balance between those two primary aspects of my life. And I really think this is an awesome video series. I enjoyed watching Val and Eric. And I'd love to hear about some of your techniques for keeping your life as essential as it can possibly be. While preparing this, I really wanted to try to share some actual tools that I've discovered and really do use in my everyday life, as opposed to some theoretics and philosophies. And as you might suspect, not everything works for everyone. I'm certainly somebody that's willing to quickly abandon something if it's not giving me the benefit that I would expect it to. I will adjust things to make fit my life. You obviously do the same. But here are the few of the things that I found that have worked for me. First, like Val, and I'm sure many of you, I too rely heavily on a family calendar. The Jableckis happen to use iCloud, but I know people that use Google and many of the others. And I'll admit that iCloud is not perfect for us, particularly getting a completely combined view of my personal life and my work life on my Windows laptop like I can on my iOS devices is certainly a challenge. But I will say that Megan, Darby, Piper, and I all have pretty intense schedules of our own, so we collaborate and manage our schedules through the family capabilities of iCloud. Next is about time management. One of the things I do time management-wise, and this is something that John I know does as well, I'm sure many of you, but I really have gotten into the practice of scheduling time to accomplish things. First, I schedule time to do tactical tasks like churning through email and meeting invites so that they don't distract me throughout the day as they're coming in. I'll also schedule time on my calendar to accomplish more heavy lift type of things that require focus. And then I'll use another one of the techniques that I'll talk with you here about in a moment to help me focus when I actually get to the time to do that. Now, I'll tell you that early this year, I also opened up my calendar to everyone visibility-wise. I've for a long time shared it with my team, my direct reports that is, so that they can more easily schedule meetings and see where Jason is throughout the day and the week. But early this year I decided to open it up for everybody. I had noticed that Val does the same thing. It made a lot of sense to me. There's kind of this natural reluctance to expose yourself that much, but I gave it a shot. And of course, I'll tell you that it actually has freed up time for me. It's made things simpler. And then of course, if I need to, I could just easily mark a meeting as private. But otherwise, feel free, go in and you can see where I am anytime throughout the day. Next is email management. I've always been someone that kind of had the following philosophies on email. 1, never delete an email. 2, leave it in your inbox until you've addressed it. 3, once you haven't addressed it, file it away in some granular email foldering system so that you can theoretically easily find it later. In March or so this year, though, I read an article, and the title of the article is The Simple Guide to Managing Email Through the Asian Efficiency Workflow System. So, one of the philosophies and the implementations, they really intrigued me. I decided to give it a try. Again, I was willing to abandon it quickly, but it's been coming up on a year now, and I'm pretty sure that I'm never completely going back. So I'll let you read the article if you're interested in. I'll share the website here. But the principles are essentially a zero inbox, or I think they call it inbox zero. I've gotten there a few times. I won't say that I'm constantly there, but that will make sense to you if you investigate the strategy. 2 is a strategy of touch it once, and 3rd is a principle of what they call the 2-minute rule. So these principles, they kind of add up as the pillars, and the rest of it's really just workflow. But the thought process is, when you open your email intentionally and consciously during that time to process your inbox, you're opening it up to process email. And at that point in time, you now have decisions to make. This is when the 2-minute rule kicks in. The question is, can I process this in less than 2 minutes? And if you can, then simply reply right away, throw it in the archive folder, and you're done with it. If you can't do that, then you move it to the reply folder. The reply folder essentially becomes your to-do list, and you know that the reply folder is the place that you have to go when you need to think about email for a little bit longer and work on those. But then, what if I need to get something from somebody or get input from another place before replying, or I just simply want to remember to follow up again on something I've sent or asked of somebody? In this case, I'll put it in the waiting folder. Now I schedule time actually to process my inbox. I schedule time to reply to emails, and time to follow up on those that I'm waiting on something for. And I'll have to admit that I can't say I never blur the lines between these folders. I can't say that email doesn't sit in my inbox for a while. I can't say that I perfectly follow all of the rules, but I can say that I only have these folders and that I found something that really works for me, and it's really given me a lot of time back in my day. The next topic is on prioritizing. Some of the other reading that I've done, particularly Peter Havelka gave me a book, and the principle of it, one of the key concepts is on prioritizing, and that prioritizing is one of the most energy intensive things that our brains can do. We as humans, I assume other mammals as well, but certainly us, we can really only keep kind of so many actors on our mind stage at any one point in time. And if we don't have priorities, then the mind can wander, and actors can wander on and off the stage. And prioritizing really helps you to stay calm and focus on what's important at the moment. So I don't do it every day, but I do generally think about what's important for me at the end of each day, to help me organize how I'm going to tackle the next day. And at least once or twice a week, I find myself, sitting down and really coming up with a prioritized, detailed list with check boxes next to it on exactly what I need to get done and exactly what order the next day, so that when I get up and throughout the entire day, I don't have to spend a whole lot of energy constantly figuring out what the next priority is. I just know I've put that energy into it the day before, and I'm ready to go. Next, and I talked about this earlier, is on focusing. Really being able to focus at will when you have time scheduled and set aside to actually get things done that require that mental energy, that are not necessarily easy for you to accomplish, and you have to be able to think in order to do it. Last year, a good friend of mine, who's an incredible orthopedic surgeon, he's currently in London on a joint research project between the U.S. and British governments. He turned me on to a website application called Focus at Will. And essentially this is a streaming music service. But the music really is all scientifically engineered to create focus within your brain. The rhythms and patterns generate an intense focus rather than distraction. And this may sound like hocus pocus. I can't frankly explain it all. But check it out if you're interested, because it certainly made a big difference in my ability to sit down for an hour and get something done, such as prepping for this video. So guys, hey, while we've been spending a few minutes here talking about, ways I've become more essentialist, my plane has been making its way around the traffic pattern on my first solo flight at Bulverde Airfield. We're coming in for landing here now with a little bit of a crosswind, so hopefully all the training is paid off, and I won't embarrass my instructor who jumped out of the plane just before takeoff and is watching this video here that we're about to see. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me here today. Feel free to reach out directly anytime if you want to discuss any of this, and let me know what your experiences are with any of the ideas that I share.
There you go, power off, ease it off.